Welcome, Internet, to the PixelPlay Podcast, your weekly podcast where three friends get together to talk about video games. This week, we mark the tragic death of E3, and if you don't know it, it's our 100th episode. So we're going to be talking about our top 5 favorite games of all time. I am one of your co-hosts, Kaylan, aka Catastrophe, joined as always by my buddies Adam at CS Radical and Chris at Jin and Chris. Guys, we made it. We're 100 episodes in.
I mean, technically, we made it. Not this guy. He was sort of there. I mean, he was watching most of them.
He was that guy who was just like, what is it, like drafting on like when you're doing the Tour de France. He's just in the back and just comes in at the end and just says, "I win."
What was that girl's name from the Boston? Rosie something? The Boston Marathon girl that like randomly like took the subway and then joined right at the end.
I did not know about this. What?
Okay, Google.
I didn't either, but that's me. Definitely in this situation. It's a very good analogy. I was just watching.
Rosie Ruiz is the one, and that was the Boston Marathon. So I'm just quickly wikiing it. Yeah, she jumped onto the race somewhere like a half mile before the finish and won, and no one caught it for a while.
Did nobody notice someone sitting? I guess that's the weirdest thing. Someone sitting on a TTC with a marathon number on them. Well, ladies and gentlemen, you come here for the
jacket.
Yeah, true. Ladies and gentlemen, you come for the video game conversation. You stay for the random facts that you did not know about.
I'm a well of useless knowledge. That's just how it is.
Yeah,
I mean, then again, if you're a gamer, there's a pretty good chance that you're a well of useless knowledge.
Oh yeah, 100%. My wife, we watched Jeopardy, and she's just like, "How the hell do you know this stuff?" And I don't even know how I know it.
There's that one game that's I've seen on PlayStation. It's called Jeopardy Play Show, I think, or something like that I want to get because it's basically you play with your friends and with the phone app that it gives you, and you play along with old Jeopardy episodes. So you buzz in and say what you think the answer is, and you get your points based on that.
Oh,
and I looked at that and said, that looks like a lot of fun. And then I've also had the part of my brain that goes, I probably won't know most of the answers, though, because I'm still dumb as shit. Because the kind of knowledge that they expect, like sports questions, I might have a shot on. But most of the other categories, I'm like, all right, literature and get through all of those answers. Oh, art, get through all of those answers.
I can do.
Go ahead.
No, please go ahead.
I was just gonna say I'm putting Danky Kang for every response because of that one episode of Jeopardy.
Oh my god.
Yeah, see, for me, I always struggled with like the sports ones. Sports ones are like I could do like geography and world like history, and I could do like theology stuff weirdly, and I think that's just because I went to a Catholic school.
Well, here's the easiest one to tell. What's out of the tricks? Out of the tricks are for kids. Out of the 6 Trivial Pursuit categories, what's your worst one then? Because mine is definitely arts and literature.
I'd say sports is my worst one. I have no idea about sports.
Even with sports and leisure having like some other stuff outside of sports?
Yeah. I don't know. I feel like that's the crux because like leisure, I'm well versed in leisure. Sports I know very little about. Like especially when it starts getting into like names and people and like no, I have no idea.
What about you, Chris? What do you think?
Mine's the entire game. That's my answer.
Fair enough.
The entire game, I am horrible. Every subject, everything it asks me. Even if I might know it, I panic. And then I'm just like, I have to, it's like performance anxiety and I can't do it.
Because I can't help taking a shot at Ubisoft. They've done 2 Trivial Pursuit live games, and they still have it so that if you want to play multiplayer, you have to also have copies of the game. I'm like, guys, Jackbox exists. Just make Trivial Pursuit with a phone app. How are you so fucking incompetent? You have this license and you haven't done it. It's amazing. Like, there's all these web games you can play that do the same kind of thing. And yet, you have the license to Trivial Pursuit, and you're like, okay, we're going to make a sequel to Trivial Pursuit Live. A lot of people like that. Should we do anything different? Fuck no. And I still have both copies, because I do like my trivia. But still, I play solo offline, because why the fuck would I play online? Because pretty much the only people that are going to be playing online are the ones that have played 1,000 games of it and know every question in the system.
Did you ever play that game, Adam? It was like maybe 3-4 years ago, and I forget what it's called, like Trivia Time or whatever like that, and like you could play it on your phone, and if you won, like it was like live at a certain time all the time, and like
I heard of it,
but
I never
or something.
I never looked at it.
That's what it was.
Yeah, I played that religiously daily.
Yeah, we did that at work. Like we had like a whole like a bunch of like my colleagues and I were huge into it, and we would all take our lunch breaks and our breaks at that time and play HQ trivia, I think it was called.
Oh,
Yeah.
I think I
Yeah.
might have done that like once or twice, but
And you
I
could win,
definitely
like,
didn't get too
pennies.
deep into it.
Yeah, just talk about trivia just got me thinking about that. And it's still
Yeah.
video game related, so we're still on
Yeah, it all still
on
works.
track, guys.
Yep.
Speaking of video games, what have you guys been up to? What have you guys been playing? What's new with you guys?
Adam, why don't you go first?
I don't know. I mean, it's not like I raised $4,000 or $4,065 for charity over the weekend.
Well done, sir. Well done.
I
What
watched
charity
a
was
lot
it
of
for?
it.
Despite the first day and a half of being an absolute shitstorm of tech issues, it's summed up by the guy who is running the server in the back end summed it up the best when he said, I now completely understand how difficult running something like a GDQ actually is, because we did this on a small scale and it was a pain in the ass.
You also probably did it with a small budget too. I think GDQ probably
We
has
did it
like
with
a
no
bit
budget.
bigger- Yeah, well, that's probably one of the hurdles. You
Yeah,
guys
but
had to
they're
overcome.
also doing it with 7 days, 24/7, usually in person, and with like different parts of the world. I think we had like 1 or 2 people that might have been outside of North America, like just a few of like a handful. And even then, like we had people local, and it was a nightmare. It was great by the end of it, but Jesus Christ, we were all sweating. But we've literally decided that we are not meeting to debrief for at least a week because we need time to just let it all go, because there's so much bitterness. Because it went so well, but there's so much shit that went wrong that we're all kind of salty about it.
Now, the important question I have for you, Adam: did you drop the podcast?
No, of course not.
Damn it, Adam! Come on.
Nope. We're not that important.
I figured since you were there, you could like say like we sponsored it or something like that. I'd throw $20.
20 bucks.
Nope, didn't work out.
Ugh.
But other than that, MLB The Show came out on Tuesday, and I meant exactly what I said when I was bitching about NHL 23. MLB The Show is the fucking correct game to play if you're a sports fan, because I've played that game for a week and I've gotten 10 times as much value out of that game than EA Sports ever gave me in a month. So it's to the point now. Okay, here's my small rant, because I'm not going to review a sports game because it's impossible to review one. They're mostly copy paste.
The review's not going to win.
Yeah. They're mostly copy pasted. Like there's not much you can do about it. The one rant that needs to come out of this is I've seen people complain that you're given too much in the early part of the game in terms of its Diamond Dynasty mode, or like what the Ultimate Team is with Madden or FIFA or whatever. There are people complaining that you get too much too fast. Do you understand how that damage that means we gamers are, that we're complaining that we're getting good, like too much value for the dollars we're spending? I just want anybody who thinks about that, like, there's 2 thoughts of that process. One, you're listening to an influencer who spent hundreds of dollars on the game. No shit that he got everything. He spent hundreds of dollars on it. Or 2, if you played a bunch of it and you got a bunch of stuff, that's how it's supposed to work. You don't play Horizon for 100 hours and not have a half-decent bow to show for it.
Who's playing Horizon for 100 hours? That thing takes like...
Have you seen how big that map can be?
I think it takes something like maybe 50.
You
to,
understood
like,
what I meant.
I'm just saying, come with better analogies. And I'm still bitter you didn't name drop us during the stream.
Well, that sounds like a you problem over there. But yeah, I saw people bitching that there's so much high level content in the early portion of the game. I'm like, are you fucking mad?
These people are all salty.
You spent
because they've been playing too
$80 on
much
this
EA.
game.
Yeah.
Sounds like Stockholm syndrome.
Yeah.
Yeah, that sounds like EA's gotten to them. As someone who's played
100%.
both in the last like 2 months, fuck you, EA. That's all I've got to say about that.
Well, there goes that sponsorship.
Damn it.
EA Sports. Go fuck yourself. That's it.
That's awesome.
I am desperately waiting for Star Wars Survivor to come out, or Jedi, whatever it's called.
No,
Jedi
Survivor.
Survivor.
Jedi Survivor. I wasn't sure if it was Jedi Survivor.
I love how you
Star Wars
guys are
Survivor.
supposed to be the ones caring about it, and I know the name, and I won't be playing it.
It
have
looks
to.
so good. I cannot
Yeah.
wait. I'm just
Yeah.
dying, and it sucks because like I finished Dead Space. I got nothing to play right now. Like I was going through the PlayStation Plus extra, whatever the hell I paid for. Nothing's biting. I got desperate, and so I actually caved and I bought a Nintendo game. This is now
Whoa.
I know, right? I know.
Oh.
So
What is it?
well,
Which one? Oh my
I
god.
got the Mario Brothers Super Mario Brothers U Switch game or whatever it is. My thought being is I am very excited to take my son to go see Mario for to go see the Mario movie. It's going to be his first time in the theater, and I'm like, hey, kind of indoctrinate him a little bit because right now there's not a lot of stuff to get your kid indoctrinated into Mario. So basically, we've been watching the trailers they've been posting, and I showed him the old 1980s 90s Mario show. He loves that, and I was like, oh,
yeah.
so bad and so good at the same time. So good and so bad. But I was like, hey, it's also something I could play in the living room with him, playing with his cars, and it's not going to be. I can't play Dead Space in front of him. That's not going to be a good idea. But hey, I could do Mario, and so I play with him, and he loves it.
I'm sure there's a mod that could make it better.
Not on PlayStation. I'm not pulling out dusting out a PC.
If you took my suggestions from 2 weeks ago, where you actually play the game on the hardest difficulty and finish it, you could get the foam finger, and then your kid could just watch you go bang, but bang, bang, but bang.
Oh, it's not the shooting that I'm concerned about my son seeing. That's the trauma of just seeing people getting their arms shot off and crawl. That's just no. I want to sleep at night. I don't want to have to deal with him freaking out at 2 a.m. because he's thinking he's gonna get attacked by some monster.
I don't know. Have you seen the way society is these days? We care less about violence than we do sex. No one cares about a limb being torn off.
I'm gonna be 40 this year, and Dead Space scares the crap out of me. I don't understand the fact that Adam, you're trying to push it's fine, get a mod. Also, you've seen if you put Thomas the Tank Engine in any of these horror games, it gets so more scarier.
That is such a crock of shit. The Mr. X mod of Thomas the Tank Engine is fucking hysterical.
It's hysterical but terrifying at the same time. Thomas should not look like that. He should not be chasing you in such a situation. It's terrifying.
But what if it's Thomas the Tank Engine, but the voiceover is done by Macho Man Randy Savage?
That helps.
Yeah.
I'm gonna get you.
Yeah, that I'm gonna hide under my covers every time WWE comes on. I mean, I already do that now, but that's for different reasons.
I see. Chris, what have you been playing?
I've been playing 2 things. So right now, speaking of getting over fears, because I'm an adult. I've actually been playing through Resident Evil 2 Remake, because I've owned the game and I started it in 2019 when it came out. But I'm such a wuss when it comes to scary games. I got to a point, and I knew it was at the point where that Mr. X character does start to follow you around the police station. And the anxiety of an unkillable zombie who's just slowly walking at you always was just intense for me. I'm like, oh, I don't know if I will ever pick this up again. So I waited until 4 years later, apparently. But actually I was like, no, I got to do this. I'm an adult now. Holy crap. I mean, I was adult 4 years ago too, but either way. And I actually beat Leon's story for the first time in 25 years. I beat a Resident Evil story. I've been trying the whole time, all the way since back on PS1. Finally did it, and now I'm playing through Claire's story. I got to only do an hour and a half at a time, max, because I'm like, all right, I'm getting a little anxious here. I'm going to stop every day.
Too much spooks.
Yeah, too much spooks all at once. So the sun's going down. There's no way I'm playing anymore. And then I put all my other time into a game I wasn't expecting to, and I actually platinumed it. And it was, oh my God, the Thomas. See? That is terrifying. That is not fun.
I put the Thomas the Tank Engine Resident Evil 2 mod on for those who were listening on audio.
God. The anxiety I have right now over this. See? That's terrifying. His eyes, they're unkillable. They're unblinking. Anyways, I ended up playing Sonic Frontiers. I had bought it because I just wanted to play it on the side. I ended up playing it so much, and it was just my cozy go-to game. I platinumed it. And I was so close to platinuming it. I'm like, I mean, I'm just gonna do it now. I've only got 1 or 2 trophies away. It's gonna take me 5 minutes to do this. And yeah, I wasn't expecting to actually do that because I was playing it a bit and I was like, this is okay. And by no means am I saying this is a great game. Not by any means. It looks
right now.
I think it reflects you more than it does the game that you platinumed it.
Yeah. Oh, the platinum's super easy. It's a 2 out of 10 difficulty. That's why. It's just. It looks like a fan made this sandbox of just random Sonic crap and put Sonic in there. But the thing is you using the fishing mini game, you can actually just max out all your stats.
That's the only good part about that game.
Oh, the fishing mini game was amazing. I actually was just playing that so much. But because I had played it so much, I maxed out all of Sonic's stats, and the hardest trophy to get was maxing out all his stats because people were like, "Oh, you have to play forever." I was like, "Just play the fishing mini game." I was like, "Oh crap, how many hours did I play that?" Maybe I unnaturally did that. But because I maxed out all of Sonic's stats, I was a Sonic god, and every boss was like, "Oh, cool! Like I've got 999 rings. They're gonna count down one at a time. Oh no!" And I'd like beat the boss in like 20 seconds. So I became like god mode. But I don't know. There was something. I think it was just like the Breath of the Wild style music that's in it. And they just recently released an update which they put music notes all over the maps, and it unlocked classic Sonic songs that you could just play while you were playing. It kind of just became this like cozy game I played on the side while listening to classic Sonic music. And I just happened to actually beat a game in the process. Because the running around and just like, oh, here's like a little puzzle where I got to do a little circle. Cool, do it. Got it. Next. Oh, another little puzzle. Okay, 2 seconds. Next. Like, I guess because I didn't take it seriously and I accepted that it was like a sandbox fan-made game that apparently was made by Sega, that I was just like, all right, cool. I even turned on a thing where you can do auto combo. So you don't even have to press any of the combo buttons. One of the skills you can unlock in the game, this shows how self-aware it was, is just auto combo, that as you start to attack, it'll just do the other combos for you with slightly less damage, so you don't have to press any other buttons. And it's not an accessibility feature, it was a skill that you have to actually unlock. So it's basically lazy mode. So I was just like tapping the attack button over and over at max stats, destroying bosses in like 2 seconds, having way too many collectibles that like I didn't have to go and search for them. I just got so many of them by being invincible all the time. But yeah, I ended up just like having this be my cozy Sonic music game, which I've always been a Sonic fan, and the music has always been like some of the best parts for me. So yeah, I ended up platinuming a crappy good game. It's like the best crappy game I think I've ever played. It's weird. It's weird. I'm ashamed of myself, but also proud of myself for just letting it be.
I was just gonna say, I mean, look at what EA and Respawn have done to us by delaying Survivor. We've had to resort to playing Nintendo games and Sonic Frontiers. It's just
accurate.
It's
yeah.
Yeah, we're buying Nintendo games. I'm playing baseball, and Chris is playing a crappy Sonic game.
And a spooky game, which is also not like him. We're all
with Thomas the Tank Engine.
No, I'm not doing that mod. I am playing on PC, but fuck any mod. I'll do the like Mr. X in a thong way before I'll do anything else. Because then at least I'll be like.
I was gonna say that also speaks more to you than it does the game.
All right, me and Thomas the Tank Engine have a bad history. Okay. But yeah, that's all I've been up to.
Cool.
Just those.
Yeah, I just did desperate times.
I actually feel bad for all of us now.
Desperate times call for bad game choices.
No, it's not a bad game. I'm actually like, so to be honest, like I was just saying, like it's so unusual for me to play a Nintendo game. Like the last Nintendo game I bought, I think it was when I bought like, I think it was Mario Kart when I bought my Switch. I think that was like the last game I bought for Nintendo. And so it's a great game. Like I actually like really like it. It's got some issues in terms of like, it feels like it's like the ground is a little slick, so you don't have that much control when you're moving around, but it's a fantastic game. And like very few games do what Mario does. Like that whole overworld, just do levels, get from point A to point B, super simple. It's refreshing. Like going, maybe being too much into the PlayStation like first party studio where it's heavy story driven open world stuff. Like it's refreshing. I'm enjoying it, but I just not one to usually drop $60 on a Nintendo game. So yeah.
Yeah, that's true.
But well, we've been desperate for. Oh, go ahead.
Oh, go ahead. No.
I was just transitioning to our first story because we're like half an hour in and we've not even touched our first story. So
yeah, transition away.
Well, we've been playing video games. You know, screw it. I'm not going to bother transition. That moment's lost. E3's dead. That's all it is. Yeah, last week it was announced E3's canceling because pretty much nobody's showing up, and E3's like, well, we can't be a failure if we don't start it, so they just canceled it. No E3 this year. It's dead.
E3
Ubisoft
went, you
out.
Can't fire me, I quit.
Pretty much. So like, I'm not going to go into the whole what happened with E3, how E3 could have fixed. We've talked about that, and smarter people than us have talked about it. So I thought we could kind of just talk about, you know, what our favorite memories are, how we feel about E3 going away, what, you know, do we think the ramifications are, just a general open conversation about E3. So like, See, I'm sad. I liked E3. E3 for me was my Christmas in the summer. I remember watching, especially in like the early like 2010s, like that was when we were at peak E3. And I remember just taking time off work, or yeah, I've actually booked days off to watch E3. It was funny to do that. And it was just great, just sitting there and just watching the conferences, chatting with my buddies. Amazon would have like wicked deals where it's like 30% off if you pre-order a game. And I was pre-ordering games 4 years in advance to get that 30% off. Like it was peak golden gamer time. And I'm sad to see that's kind of gone, because I think we're losing something, because now we just get Jeff Keighley's bloated summer game fest. And I don't know if that's necessarily equivalent.
No, I wouldn't say it's equivalent at all. It does feel more bloated, where E3 was more like, all right, Xbox is this time, at 8 p.m. Sony's the next day at 10 a.m. Nintendo's same day as Sony, but in the afternoon. And then Bethesda and Ubisoft and EA, like it was just a bunch of conferences, but they kept it so tight and in this like smaller window where everybody was at the same place for that. Was E3 a full week? I can't even remember if it was a full
It was
week.
a full week,
No.
but they did all the conferences in like 3 days.
Yeah.
So,
Because
like,
I think
it was
afterwards it was just a show floor kind
Yeah,
of thing.
maybe if you were like there, maybe it was longer. But for us, it was like 4 days usually.
Yeah.
Because it was usually actually no, sometimes it was 5, because the way they would work is that it would be Friday, Saturday, Sunday, and then I think Monday, and then Nintendo would do a weird thing on the Tuesday. Or it might be the other way around. It might have been Nintendo does this weird thing on the Tuesday to start, and then it would be like Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, and then the weekend I think was the show floor. That's how long it's been. I forget.
Yeah.
All I remember is
So
Nintendo being Tuesdays for some reason, because they wanted to have their own day.
What for you guys were like your not to miss presentations? Like obviously maybe you watched all of them, like, but what were the ones that like you were like, I knew what time this was at and I need to be there because I want to watch it?
For me,
what were your go-tos?
For me, it was definitely like back like 2010, 2011, 2012 times. It was definitely PlayStation. The Sony one was huge for me. I wasn't in Xbox at all at the time. That's a much more recent thing. So I would watch it. Don't get me wrong. I watched all of them, but
Yeah, we're talking like these. I'm not missing this. Like you would watch it live. So
I wouldn't
PlayStation
miss
was
the
the other
Sony one. Nintendo at the time, because it was still like Wii transitioning into maybe Wii U, and there was still excitement about that at the time. 3DS, like that kind of stuff, like those kind of games. And then it became Ubisoft. After I got into Assassin's Creed at the time, Ubisoft was definitely like my third one. So I had to be a part of those three.
Yeah. Adam, what was your like go-to conferences that you were scheduling to like be there for?
The only two that come to mind in terms of like the big reveals was like, obviously when 7 got revealed for reals this time, not the PS3 tech demo that they did way back when. The other one that I remember the most being like, holy shit, like this is amazing and new to me was Horizon, honestly. Like the initial reveal trailer for Horizon made me go, like I still had the feeling of this is either going to be amazing or really bad, and that's how I felt after that. But I meant like if this is exactly what this looks like to me, holy shit, this might be incredible. And it was. To be on that, like I don't know, it's hard to think of them because like in retrospect, I don't remember what was revealed at E3 anymore and what was just like normally announced, because like anything Mass Effect related would have counted, but like I can't remember how much of that was E3 or how much of that was just something else entirely. I mean, there were moments here and there, like Keanu Reeves for Cyberpunk was a cool thing. The absolute nightmare that was anything that was being revealed in the Kinect when they were revealing that, and just how everything you could tell was going to be a broken pile of shit. Yeah. So like there's also the flip side of that. Like that's the key thing to me is like, sure, we're going to have most of the packages going forward. Like Sony's going to do apparently something probably before all that. Oh my God, Summer Game Fest is going to be a thing. Nintendo's going to do their thing. Microsoft will do their thing. So there'll always be something cool that shows up, but it's not going to feel the same because it's not one after the other and stage presence with like, the actual like hype train of it. Now it's more just like, here's one, and then a week later, here's one, and then a couple days later, here's one. Like, it's not the same thing. It doesn't feel like, I don't like saying it because fuck Vince McMahon right now, but it feels like it was used to be the WrestleMania weekend of video games, where it was like everything was all together in one neat package, and you knew, and you had plenty of time to get ready for it, rather than we still, like, we keep hearing, oh, Sony's gonna do their thing soon, and we still don't know when. So it's kind of taken the wind out of the sails compared to what it used to be, where it was June, it's coming, we're gonna get fucking super hyped about it. It's lost. So that, like, I'm not necessarily broken that E3's gone. I'm more just annoyed that we don't have, like, the ability to get excited anymore as much, because it's not going to be the same feeling anymore.
Yeah. Going back to what Chris was saying, like, for me, the conferences that I was looking, that I always looked forward to, Sony was obviously the one, like, that's not a surprise for anyone. I like Bethesda. Bethesda was kind of neat, especially, like, not the last one, but the shows before that, when, like, they dropped, like, they said, hey, Fallout 4 is coming in 3 months. Like, that's pretty cool. And then guilty pleasure for me was always watching Ubisoft, because that was just, it was a weird thing where I loved it because I like Assassin's Creed, I like the Tom Clancy's franchise, but I'm also there to watch the weird Ubisoft, like, decisions that they make, like, like the Just Dance every single time was just so weird. They brought James Cameron to just talk about Avatar one time, like,
and hasn't been spoken of since.
No, like, but just like Ubisoft was always just, you never knew what you were getting from Ubisoft, and it could be like the greatest thing ever. Like, I remember when they showed Black Flag being announced there, like, I thought that was super cool. But then you also get, like, some weird stuff too, like Shigeru Miyamoto coming out to, like, do the Mario Rabbids thing, like, just so weird. So I like that. Yeah, and, like, I think that there is something being lost with E3, and I think it's the tightness, it's the one-upmanship, but it's also the live atmosphere, right? Like, the thing that we don't get nowadays with these pre-recorded videos is that they're just commercials. Like, it's really just a commercial, and you can make the argument that E3 was too, but, like, there was the hype and that everyone was there. You heard the cheering, like, and that got people, that, like, you wanted to have people come out, that got people excited, right? You had some one-upmanship, some stagemanship that you don't with a pre-recorded situation, and I think that's kind of lost. And there's also something to be said that you had, journalists and, like, media outlets there who were reviewing games, so they could tell you, like, hey, this game's great, this game doesn't play as well as it looks. Whereas now it's just PlayStation, Nintendo, whoever is just like, hey, this game's coming out, it's great, trust us, winky face.
Yeah.
In 3 years, maybe.
Yeah, maybe. Little Devil Inside still to be released. We'll see.
Because, I mean, you think about the amount of stuff that we got so hyped about, and then, like, 5 years later, you finally see the article, oh, it's never coming.
Little Devil Inside, like I said, that thing was originally supposed to be designed, I was reading on Reddit or something, that game was originally designed for the Wii U. And then they ran out of money, like, PlayStation bought it out, and they had that advertised when PlayStation was, like, being launched. And then they did a PlayStation show, like, not showcase, PlayStation, whatever the boring one is. Yeah. They did one of those on it, and it's still not here. Like, what the hell?
I'm still waiting on Agent. Come on, Rockstar.
Oh, Adam, I got some bad news.
It's coming.
Oh, okay. Yep, yeah, anytime now. Don't worry.
Yeah, it's right along with Beyond Good and Evil 2.
Yeah, right up there. Yeah, Joseph Gordon-Levitt coming out on Ubisoft to be like, hey, submit your artwork. Like, we could, like, we'll put it in the game. Where's that at? Yeah.
And then most intelligent people went, no, that's your fucking job. Pay us.
Yeah.
In terms of, like, your E3 memories, like, what are some of the big things that you get? Like, Adam kind of touched on a couple of them. Like, what are some of your big moments, Chris, that you kind of remember from E3? Like the holy cow, or what are the ones that stick out to you?
So I've got a couple, but my favorite is actually one 2006. Watching E3 when Reggie with Nintendo came out for the first time, and he said, "My name is Reggie. I'm about kicking ass, taking names, and we're about making games." I actually watched that live. Like, I actually saw that E3 because cool. I was working at a grocery store in the photo lab at the time. And this is back when photo lab still meant rolls of film. This because I'm aging myself here. Well, I mean, 2006, I already said the year. And the computer where you could actually feed through the film and get it developed and change the brightness and everything before it actually went through the machine and printed out like actual photos. It had the internet, and the only website that would work for some reason was IGN. And me, being a gamer in like university having my, side job while I'm going to school. Of course, I didn't want to work. I'm developing photos. So yeah, I would be on IGN all the time. And when it was E3, I remember being at work on the only website that would work, and IGN was live streaming the Nintendo E3 conference, and it just happened to overlap. And I actually saw Reggie come out, and I was like, "Who the fuck's this guy? What the hell's going on?" And then he said his kicking ass, taking name stuff. And I was like, "What is happening? This this is Nintendo, right? What is this?" But yeah, I saw that, and then the following year at the same job, I saw the My Body Is Ready when Reggie came out, and they asked him if he was ready to try Wii Fit, and he said, "My body is ready," and it started that whole meme. Those were definitely probably like some of my favorite memories, which is, I think I was only learning what E3 was at that time. Beyond that, it was definitely like, I think you were pretty spot on with like the early 2010s. Like I remember, like I booked off time to watch the the whole E3, but it was because Sony was going to announce the PS4 and Xbox was going to announce the Xbox One. I remember being on my couch, being ready for like days before ready, like just waiting for that. And it was like such good conferences, and it was like such a big hype time that thinking of those ones, that's where I definitely get sad missing E3, because it definitely isn't the same now.
For me, like the big moment I remember from E3, like the biggest E3 moment that sticks with me is what year was it? I don't remember the year, but it was the year that PlayStation was doing the whole Kevin Butler VP of whatever.
I was about to say the 2010.
Yeah. Like that is the best feature. He comes out and he's just like talking about like, hey, like we're all the video games, and like I just remember he's like, you stay up until 3 o'clock in the morning for a trophy that isn't real, but we know it is. And I'm like,
it's quite arguably the only time that an E3 presentation has been genuinely funny.
Yeah. It was that like Kevin Butler one, I think was peak.
I don't know what
E3.
the situation was that caused them to stop doing it, but like I missed the Kevin Butler advertisements,
you know what it was?
Because they were so good.
I think what it was is that at one point he did a Bridgestone commercial, and they had a promotion with like they had some partnership with Nintendo Wii, and so like there was like talking, like it was something like that, and PlayStation got pissed because he got associated with that, and that was their brand, and I can totally see why, but that's where it fell out, is because
so that's when you talk to the guy and you settled the contract and you keep going because you genuinely had the best advertisements for like 3 years.
So good. Then they tried to bring out that other kid, I forget what his name was, Marcus. That was annoying.
Yeah, that didn't land the same. Yeah, no. I remember seeing that Kevin guy. I don't know the actor's real name, obviously, but there was like pizza. He was in so many commercials after that because he was obviously starting to jump around. Mm-hmm. And I remember it was like Pizza Hut commercials and stuff like that. I think I saw that. I think it was Bridgestone. Like he just started showing up in places. I'm like, it's the PlayStation guy. Why isn't he at PlayStation? What's he doing? Like,
just so you heads up, his name is Jerry Lambert. Yeah.
The only other big one I can think of, and it's not for a good reason. Remember when Wii Music was revealed?
Oh yeah.
Oh, I forgot about that.
I still have my copy of it.
You have that?
I got it day one because I was so excited about it.
Day one.
Mm-hmm.
Oh wow.
Wow.
Because I thought it would actually work. It doesn't. But man, that performance was so bad. I don't know, like, I don't know, it wasn't teenage Adam, but like early 20s Adam was still dumb as shit at that point when it came to being fooled by advertising.
Yeah, I remember that presentation now. It was awkward.
It's like Shigeru Miyamoto crappily playing like a fake trumpet. It was not good. Actually, the only other thing I can think of, I guess, would be, I don't know if it was the original like E3 that was being showcased, but like when the Saturn was being released at $399, and then Sony literally just walked on the stage and went $299 and walked.
What is with Sony with like the big dick energy? Because they did that to Xbox too, where they're just like, here's how you share games.
Here's how to share games.
Yeah.
Yeah, I remember the applause after Sony did that for the Xbox One. I remember that because Xbox did their showcase like right before them too.
They had like a spreadsheet of like, here's how you do it.
I think it was Tom like Hanks the early day, like it was like the 10 or 11 o'clock slot, and then Sony has the usual night slot. And oh my god,
You know, they filmed that right in a hotel room 2 hours before, and they're like, put it in.
Yep.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, they
It's like
did.
these stupid
100%.
fucking idiots.
And it was so bad. Like, remember how bad that Microsoft conference was?
Yeah,
Because it was
it
literally
was
like
the
they had Tom
ESPN
Hanks.
box.
Yeah, Tom Hanks was coming out talking about his shows, and you could watch your TV on your Xbox, and
Like, look, I think they misunderstood that, you know, the PS2 had the DVD player, the PS3 had the Blu-ray player, and Xbox was like, that's the problem. We aren't putting media devices in our consoles.
it's a secondary feature.
Yeah. Yeah, they
That's
really
how you sell it to your mom and dad.
Yeah. You don't need that at E3. That's what the kid tells their parents when they're trying to justify the price.
No, mom, dad, it's a Blu-ray player. You can play the Blu-rays.
Wow, 1080p.
And also Call of Duty.
Okay.
I mean, what?
Yeah.
Oh, E3.
I'm gonna miss it.
I
it's
am
just-
too.
Yeah.
Notice how
Yeah,
most
it's
of the
just-
moments we come up with, too, apart from Keanu Reeves, are all like 10 plus years old because it hasn't really been that great for the last little while.
Well, I don't think it's
Well, the
that.
last
I
few
think
years
it's-
they really haven't even had it. Like,
Well, I'll
Yeah.
say,
hit it,
like, the
so-
last probably 3 especially, like, there's nothing memorable about them. Like, apart from being cringy, and apart from, like, the odd, like, celebrity thing, like, again, the Keanu Reeves thing, or, like, the Ikumi Nakamura doing Ghostwire. Like, apart from little things like that, nothing's memorable anymore. And I think, again, like, we've had this conversation before, like, with Summer Game Fest and the over-dilution of things. The way that the internet has transcended things, like, it means we have more access to information than we've ever had. The problem is it means it's also being spread out more. So it's not the same as what it was, say, in, you know, the late 2000s, early 2010s, when we were still not quite really moving forward with social media to the way that we do today, where everything is just all over the fucking place now, and it's hard to really grasp it all in. That's kind of what E3 was back then. It was wrangling the industry in for like a week.
Yeah.
Yeah, I agree. I think it's something that, as a whole, I think the industry, like, it was something that was not needed from the industry. Like, the E3 had outgrown its purpose because originally it was designed to sell video games to retail stores. Like, it was a trade show, and it evolved into something for consumers. And so it kind of like, I think the consumers probably gave it a longer shelf life than it needed to. But
for sure.
There's really no need. It takes just work and time out of the developers and the publishers, and really they can do it whenever the hell they want. I don't think it's as good, but whatever. So,
Yeah.
anyways, E3, you're dead to us.
That to us. Pour one out.
Bum, 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 bum.
Depression.
All right, let's pivot to something more fun. It is our 100th episode. It's like Chris's 12th. Like, we're not going to get into it, but
This is my second time here.
yeah, exactly. Yeah. So I thought we could do something fun. Actually, Adam thought we could do something fun. And he suggested we go over our top 5 games of all time. So how do you want to do this, Adam? It's your topic. It's your dealer's choice. Do you want to we'll do 5, like, I'll do 5, you do 5, you do 5, and then we could just shit talk each other's list? Or do we want to do 5 across the board, 4 across the board? It's up to you.
Let's do our list one by one, because every time we do it, I do one, then you do one, then you do one. We take forever. So let's not do that anymore and just do
Okay.
our 5 simultaneously. So that way we do our quick pieces. We don't bounce off each other nearly as much, and then we can just make
Fair
fun
enough.
of each other afterwards.
Fair enough. I love it. Once again, I'll leave it to you to have the head chair. Who
All
do you
right.
want to go
Well,
first?
I tossed the coin. Yes, I'm aware it's a 2-sided coin, and I won, so I'll go first.
Who was the other side?
Don't worry about it.
Both of us combined.
So
All right, Adam, top 5.
I had a hard time thinking. I mean, we're talking about we're all in our 30s now. It was really difficult to put a list together, and I think the one bit of clarity that I had when thinking about the list is that I finally think I've gotten past the point where I don't let nostalgia cloud my judgment in what games I picked. I actually decided, like, okay, what are the ones that I actually genuinely enjoyed the most during the time that I played them, and what value did they bring? Like, is it something I could play again going forward? Like, how much of value did it actually have to me? And that was kind of my steps. You guys might have different ideas of how you came to your lists. That was kind of what I went. Like, did I really enjoy it in the moment, or am I thinking it was just great because I was a kid and I liked that game as a kid? And then the second one was, did it truly give me like an everlasting value? So Number 5 for me, I'll start off with, I think this would be, I didn't have my list because I memorized it, so give me a second. Yeah, it is the most recent one. So it would be obviously the Final Fantasy VII Remake, just because, again, recency bias, but truly enjoying it to the point that I've played it twice now in preparation for when the second part comes out. And I still love it just as much as I did the first time. In fact, I appreciate it more because now that I knew what was happening, I could pay attention to the little things. And it stands out that just, I know a lot of people either didn't like the changes to the battle system. I know a lot of people don't like the story because they changed it. I can't literally not find a problem with this game, especially now playing it a second time and having to be able to go over with a fine-tooth comb. I still can't find an issue with it. So, that's the big start for me. It definitely took something that I didn't like nearly as much growing up and then making it 1,000 times better. So that was my number 5. Number 4 is also recent. This one is kind of a cop-out because it's not necessarily one game, but it's the journey that it took to get there. And I put Trails of Cold Steel 4 as the culmination of essentially 4 JRPGs that really pushed to me what old school RPGs can become now in a modern age, because so many JRPGs these days have become more action games rather than being story driven, walk around a world and go just either explore or go talk to everybody and slowly soak in the world around you and learn everything about it. And that series took me on a roller coaster of high school level fucking bullshit mixed with steampunk, government overthrowing, rich versus poor political storylines, makes me cry one minute, laughs another, and I cannot wait to see what they do. I think July is the next release date of the next game in the series, and I can't wait to see where they move off as they've closed that arc and have now moved on to the next one. Number 3 is where my brain finally decided to work and said, whoa, wait, no one would come up with this, but man, this game did a number on me. And still, I wish I could still go back and play this as much as I did back then. Fucking Rock Band 2. I got so much goddamn time out of that as a musician, being able to feel like a god, because at the time I couldn't play guitar for shit. So, hey, now I can actually play like Dragon Force, sort of. And then on top of that, with the drums and the amount of time that I played that game with and without friends, just... I can never take away the memories that game specifically gave me. There is no game out there that I think I have had more fun playing with people than that. And that includes games like Smash and Call of Duty and Halo and Wii Sports and all the other major big ones that people would come up with. I don't think there's a game that does multiplayer-wise what Rock Band did with me and the group of friends that I had over the years. Number 2 is where I have to let my absolute Final Fantasy bias show, because it's Final Fantasy VI. Because to me, there is no better put together overall game in gaming history to me than Final Fantasy VI. It's still not my favorite game of all time, but to me, if there was ever a game that I would put in a museum in a glass box and say this was the peak of what proper game design can be in terms of a total package, that was it. Music, story, gameplay, graphics, because it still ages very well for a pixel game. They all work in harmony and do a fantastic job of that. But unfortunately, when my criteria is how much did I enjoy it in the moment and how many times can I go back and play this game, it does not eclipse the ultimate champion that is Mass Effect 2, which to this day is the game that I spent from launch at 10 o'clock in the morning at EB Games getting that copy till 3 o'clock in the morning the next day, with basically bathroom and the odd food break in between. The game that I never have spent more time playing without ever once thinking, I should take a break. It was just pure, unadulterated. I love everything I'm doing in this. I know some people will go back with a fine-tooth comb and say, well, the planetary probing thing was kind of a waste of time. Don't fucking care. I was too busy killing shit with my space gun, you son of a bitch. And again, with that being, to me, the best told story I've ever played in terms of like I wish action movies could do as well with like all of the different characters that game does. I know some people hate certain ones here and there, but I don't think that game did a better job of taking a game that has lots and lots of different characters and then making them all mean something in some way to the point that you genuinely cry when they die, because some of them will. And it's a game that very few can do. Because sure, there are games like, you know, that are designed to be very sad and depressing, like The Last of Us, that can make you feel very emotional. Mass Effect 2 is not depressing and still is capable of making you feel emotional because of how tied to them you are. And especially when, you know, you get to the culmination of Mass Effect 3 later, and with the ridiculously stupid Citadel DLC, which is basically a Jean-Claude Van Damme action movie packed in Mass Effect fan service. But that's not the game I'm talking about. The second one to me is the pinnacle and my favorite game of all time.
Yeah, I tried getting into Mass Effect. I played the first one. I think I've talked about it before. Like 2, I was just felt had too much side quest backstory kind of stuff that I didn't care about, and I kind of wanted to move the story forward. And I hated the probing, but yeah, it was a good game. I do agree. Rock Band and like Guitar Hero, solid choices. Very solid choices.
Yeah, the Rock Band one, it threw me off for a second, but I was like, oh damn, like that's a good pick.
Because I mean, we're not talking like the best games. We're talking our personal favorites.
Oh yeah.
And like I genuinely like I still have the old set. One of the symbols is fucked up, but like I wish I could play that right now, but I live in an apartment building. That's a really bad idea.
What was your go-to instrument, everybody, when you guys played Rock Band? And what
drums.
Was, like, your guitar
legit
hero?
Drums. Because
Guitar.
For whatever reason, I cannot play drums in real life. If you put me in front of an actual drum kit, I can't even keep a basic beat. But you put me on a set of Rock Band drums, put on Iron Maiden on Expert, I fucking got that shit.
Okay. Follow-up question. Well, I'm with Adam. I'm a drums person. Or singing. I like to sing, but I shouldn't. Nobody should put me in front of a microphone, but I do. What was your go-to song in Rock Band, Guitar Hero, whatever? What was your go-to?
It was a DLC track. There was a band called Black Tide, and there was a song in there called Shockwave, and it was, to me, the best example of for drums specifically, of a song that challenges you enough, but it's doable enough that if you can play songs in Expert, you can play this song, but it's so fast that it feels daunting. But once you get it down, like I love it because it tires me out, but it feels so fucking satisfying to play that song well.
Nice. Chris, what was your go-to?
I think with that song, is it actually just called like "Do You Want to Be My Girl" or whatever?
Yeah.
Well, that one
by
was
Jet?
that in there?
Are you gonna be my girl?
By Jet.
Dun, dun,
Yeah.
dun, dun,
Yeah.
dun, dun,
I used to
dun.
love that one because like just the rhythm of it was just so perfect for the game.
Agreed. And by the way, I'm sorry guys for the copyright strike because I know that was just pitch perfect.
I'll go way off base too as a bonus track though. Timmy and the Lords of the Underworld from South Park.
For me, the go-to that I played I was a Rock Band kid, and for me it was 9 Inch Nails, Hand That Feeds. That drum just so like I just got lost in that. I loved it.
Also,
Yeah,
the
that was
Odd
a good
Dream
one.
Theater song that they put in was also like a big one for me because they're so difficult to do. But man, if you can even be marginally good at them, you feel so fucking proud of yourself because you're like, hey, I'm a real musician. And then you go to try to play it for real and you're like, fuck.
Yeah.
Fun story.
Right.
I used to take guitar lessons, and I used to the person before me was the son of the lead singer of Dream Theater, so I used to sit in the waiting room with him.
That's fucking cool.
Yeah,
That is very cool.
For the 12 people that know who Dream Theater is.
It's not 12 people.
I know it's not. I'm just being. Yeah.
It's 12,000.
Yeah.
It's 12,000.
No, it was really cool. He was a really cool guy. I love chatting with him. Yeah, cool. Awesome list, Adam.
Yeah, that's a good list. I don't have anything to make fun of you there.
I mean, I can make fun of all the JRPG
I
stuff
almost
there,
said knack, but I couldn't. I couldn't bring myself to do it.
That's number.
Well, you've proven time and
0.
again. You've proven time and again your lack of taste in games. So like that's to be forgiven.
True.
That is true. You've done it to yourself, Adam.
Adam, flip your coin again.
Who lost the coin toss?
You're the one with the coin.
All right,
And
well,
we both
I
did. It was a
flipped the coin.
two-sided
I flipped the coin again, and y'all both have bad taste, so we're not doing this anymore. Thank you so much for walking to Pixel Play. No, I'm just kidding. Kaylan, what do you got?
So mine, I have like no super criteria. It's just, was it a fun game? Did I like it? One of the things was, did I lose immersion? Like, or was I immersed in the game? Like, you know, when you play a game and like, especially when you're like a kid and you just like start taking mechanics of that game and putting it into the real life. I'm not gonna go too much into it, but I was a weird kid. And I'll talk about it later as we get into it. But for me, it's like, was the game fun, immersive? Did I enjoy it as a kid? And does it still hold up to a certain degree? Like, not all the games age well, but like just generally, what were the ones that hit me that I really enjoyed playing or I played a lot of? So for me, first one, number 5 is God of War 2018. It's a fun game mechanic wise. Like it's not the most fun game, but it's great. I think for me that just resonates from a story of like parenting. I think since having a kid, like that game has meant more to me now. Like obviously I'm not a raging, father figure or something like that, but just the idea of like wanting to be a better person for your kid and like want the best for them. Like obviously it's not a unique or compelling theme or story, but like it's something that it came out right around the time that I found out I was gonna have a kid, and for me it was like just hit perfectly. So God of War is number 5. Number 4 is a classic and one of the first games I ever played. Not one of the first ones, but one of the first like when I started playing, like becoming a gamer. Command and Conquer, the original Command and Conquer games. It was a toss up between Red Alert and Command and Conquer, but I think there's just something about the original one. GDI versus Nod. Like I spent way too much time playing this, having subs, like having all that kind of fun stuff. I love Command and Conquer. I bought the 10-year anniversary a couple years ago and just played through it again. And that game, I mean, obviously it was redone a little bit. There's some quality of life improvements. I would say that's the way to play it now, but it still holds up. It's such a fun game to play. Between the campaign or just doing skirmishes or playing online, it's a fantastic game. Really, Red Alert or Tiberian Sun is also good. I never got into Red Alert 2. I know a lot of people really like it, but for me, I never got into that one. Number 3 is A Link to the Past. Once again, this is another one I played as a kid. I never beat it as a kid because I'm dumb. But when I got my Switch and they came with the Game Boy or not the Game Boy, the Switch expansion pass or whatever, I got that for a bit and I played through Legend of Zelda again and just, oh, that game is fantastic. Cool story, like especially early, like it's one of the early games that have like a really cool story. Cool, like lots to do, lots to like discover, which was also really neat. A lot of secrets, but also like a lot of variety. Like you have puzzles, you have dungeons, you have combat, you have boss battles. Super cool, and I really like that. Number 2 is Splinter Cell Chaos Theory, and I thought that was the best one in the series. And this is one where I was like, right at that point, I was probably like older than I should have been, but like I was like, oh man, it's pretty dark. I wonder what like my like visibility tracker would be like in the real world. I'm like, it's dumb and stupid, but like it was so I got so into that it was just so cool. And like the idea of like an international espionage game, the goggles like with the when you like put the mask on, like just I'm begging Ubisoft, like please release a new Splinter Cell game, like remake it.
Mobile games only.
Cannot wait for it. Shut up, Adam. Don't put it in their mind.
Oh, it's already there.
and the last one is, of course, The Last of Us. I've talked about this nonstop. Last of Us is my favorite game of all time. I was joking with the guys when we were making this topic. I was like, I'm gonna make it like Last of Us PS5, like part 1, Last of Us remastered for PS4, Last of Us like for PS3. But yes, Last of Us is a fantastic game. I think it's a good combination. I love the story, I love the characters, I love the theme, I love the world. There is nothing I can complain about that game. That game is, in my mind, a perfect game.
Yeah, I can't make fun of any of your choices either. They're too good. And it's funny, your story with Link to the Past, that's exactly how it went with me. I never beat it as a kid. It was too difficult, or I couldn't figure it out, or I was too dumb, whatever it is. But yeah, I got my Switch. It was on the Switch Online service, and I played through and beat it like for the first time. I know many years ago now, or a few years now, but yeah, same idea, exact same story.
yeah, it's fantastic. It's a great game, and yeah, and so fun story. I also remember like going back to Command and Conquer. I remember that my dad, he had a bunch of buddies who were in the military and they were obsessed with Command and Conquer. And I was like probably like 10, maybe 12, like getting together with them online, like connecting via ICQ to get like go on to like Westwood Battle whatever and playing like games with them, and it was just so much fun.
Yeah, I also resonated a lot because of Red Alert, though. Mine was very much Red
Yeah.
Alert 1.
Yeah.
And I had a buddy growing up with, and we at the time, our computers, like, I think we still had like AOL on our systems. Like that was, it was even before we were into ICQ. And we were playing Red Alert together, but we had to dial into each other's computers directly, like a phone call. And it was the most archaic way of connecting, but it worked. And then we would play Red Alert together and hog up both the computer in the house and the phone line. And it was amazing. It was so good. So many good memories.
And what a banger of an intro track that has. Like such like probably one of the best theme songs of all time. And I think
doesn't have Tim Curry.
Not until later.
No, but it does eventually. But yeah, like that theme song, like just is so good. Like, so iconic. Yeah. So Command and Conquer for me was one that like one of my first games that I played like hardcore, and one that still I think holds up today.
Oh yeah, 100%. Yeah, I definitely can't make fun of your list at all. Both good lists, guys. Good list. Now my list is also good. That's why.
Let's hear yours. Let's hear yours.
I mean, it's good to you. That's all that matters.
Now we can't shit talk it because that has been nothing but courteous to us the entire time. It's just been like, this is a good list. I can't argue. Now we're not going to be able to talk bad about his list. So
did it on purpose. All right, number 5, Sonic Frontiers. No. So for my criteria, it was pretty simple. What's a game, like regardless of what I think it's like as like the best game of all time for everybody, it's what games do I keep going back to? Because if I love a game, I will go back every few years and I'll be like, I want to play that again. And there's some games I played and I loved it and I played through it once, but like I'll never return to it. Like it was a great one-time experience. These ones I've played at least like, oh gosh, all of these. I think one of them I played twice, but I'm going to play a third time soon. So, and that's only
so we can already tell Solitaire, Minesweeper, that 3D pinball game that came with Windows,
and Brick Attack, and Brick Attack on his Brick Attack on his Palm Pilot on his BlackBerry when he had it,
and obviously Tetris number 1.
No, these are great. Tetris could have been on there. So my number 5 is Ocarina of Time. It's just gone back so many times. It's not the best Zelda game. It's not the best game. It's definitely not the best 3D game or anything like that. But every so often, I go back to the legend, like to Ocarina of Time, and just play through it again. The amount, like, I was one of those kids where I was playing it and I was doing everything to try and like break it, or I was convinced there was a secret I hadn't found, or I probably read one somewhere or heard it like from a kid at school. Like, oh, you can actually get like these special boots that make you invincible, but you have to go stand behind this tree and roll into it and you'll fall through it. And I would have been there for like 15 hours trying to do just that.
Now, for the record, Ocarina of Time is basically just Link to the Past in 3D.
Yeah, 100%. 100%.
So much jankier. But yes.
But much jankier. Yes. I mean, it was, but yeah, I must have played through that even just on my N64 like 6-7 times. So it was like probably once a year, every year, like just beginning to end. I used to know everything, like every item, I could have just done it with my eyes closed almost. So I don't know.
So
just
blindfolded speedrun when?
Not now. I would just be rolling into one wall going, it would just be over and over and over. It would be hilarious, but the timer would continue indefinitely. So yeah, I don't think we should ever do that. But yeah, so that's not my number 5. And my list is actually kind of all over the place when it comes to timelines here, because the next one is actually Spider-Man on PS4. It's just, I've already played through it twice. Like I played through it before I even had a PlayStation. I used the PS Plus or the PS Now service on my PC where I streamed the whole thing. It wasn't even a good connection, but I was like, screw this, like I want to play through it. The game like blew my mind. Like it was just so fun, story-wise, gameplay-wise, graphics-wise, soundtrack-wise. I still listen to the soundtrack on Spotify Like I'll go shower, I'll go for a walk or something like that. And I'm like, screw that. We need some Spider-Man uplifting music here. And like I just throw on the soundtrack. Like it's so good. And then the remastered version came with the Miles Morales game, played through it. Now it's on Steam, and I look at the game every single time it's on sale because I just want to buy it again to play it on my Steam Deck. Not like I have it on PS5. I could go play it right now, but just the fact of playing it now again for a third time in bed with new achievements and everything, like I just want to do the whole thing again.
I
And
genuinely don't know which song I like more, though, the Avengers theme or the theme from the Spider-Man game. It's so hard to pick.
for me, it's the
so
Spider-Man game,
good.
I think. It's so good. Yeah, like you hear it, it feels kind of like the 2000s movies idea, like where there was this nice theme, but they just made their own version and updated it and everything, and it like gives the same feels. Like it's this inspirational soundtrack that a lot of things don't have as much anymore, especially movies and such. So it's just so uplifting and inspirational and sad somehow at the same time. So such a good game.
Fun
My
story. Fun,
Oh, yeah,
fun
go
story about Spider-Man before we move on. So I played the game for a while, and Jen was watching, and like the web swinging in that Spider-Man is amazing. Probably like the
ahead.
best web swinging we've ever had. And Jen was watching me play, and she's like, "Wow, that's really cool. That's really impressive." Like that, like she thought I had to do a lot of skill to make it look that cool. And then she tried playing. She's like, "Oh, you're literally just pressing and letting go of a button." And she's like, "This is not as cool as you made it seem when I was watching you play."
I wouldn't have let it play. I'd have been like, sorry, it's so hard and I don't want you to
Yeah,
get discouraged. I
yeah.
love you too much. Like I would have Oh yeah, but 100%. Yeah, it's so impressive, but yeah, it is pretty easy. But I mean, that's just intuitive. Like it's so
So good.
easy. I gave it to my nephew who couldn't do anything else in the game, but he was running up buildings, diving off the side, and just swinging down New York. And at the time, I think he was 4. And he was like, his child mind was like blown because he was watching the like children version of Spider-Man, like Spider-Man and Friends on Disney Plus. For him, Spider-Man was like for young kids, and all of a sudden he's running up a building and swinging through New York, and you could just see it in his eyes. He still asks me about it almost every time he comes over, like, "Oh, can we play the Spider-Man game? Can we play it? Can we play it?" And I let
No.
him swing around for a bit, right? So it's intuitive gameplay. That's just what it is. It looks difficult, but it's easy. My next game, also even newer, very new. This is the newest one on my list. Forza Horizon 5. And I know that it seems like a weird one to have in my top games, but the thing is that it's something I continuously am going back to, and I think it's like no, it's not the perfect game, but it's one of the perfect games out there because it's just go into this open world that doesn't feel overwhelming because it's actually just a big map for cars and you're driving. Unlock all these cars. They're not difficult. You don't have to buy them with real money. You actually earn them in the game naturally. It gets to the point where you have 432 cars and you're like, what do I do with all my cars? And there's all these different things on the map. There is the odd, like, drive over a cliff and,
Tortoise.
see how far you can get. Pardon?
Tortoise. Drive over tortoise.
Oh, drive over towards. But yeah, there's like races and there's rally races, and then you'll go and do another race, and it's like you versus a steam train, and it's like what? And like it's this very choreographed race, but it's just like epic in scale. And then of course you go and just do a normal race, and on the like I don't know, it's a simple game, but there's just something about it that it feels like a celebration of video games and cars. And it's just I don't know, it blends together so well, and it just makes me happy when I play.
It's something anybody
It's
can
just,
approach, right? Because especially because
yeah,
graphics are getting so real now. Like
yes.
I literally a while ago I was playing it and I just looked over at my girlfriend and be like, "Hey, I got to drive like 5 miles to get to this race. Do you want to just drive to the point?" And sure, she's crashing a bunch, but there's no consequence to it. But it's just the idea of going super fast and looking at the visuals around you and be like, this is crazy how good this looks.
Yeah. Yeah, it's such a pretty game. And like, I mean, the game opens with a plane going over a volcano and then drops your Ford Bronco or whatever, like onto the edge of the volcano. And it's like the car show started race there. And it's like, what?
It's
This is
basically
epic.
Top Gear, the video game.
Yes, very much so. Very much so. And that's one of my favorite shows. So that's probably why this mixes. Well, actually, Forza Horizon 4 had a Top Gear set of missions where you had to go and be the Stig and actually
Yeah, they
do a bunch
did
of
that
things.
for a little bit. I remember there was, I think it was Forza 3, not like Horizon, but Forza Motorsport 3, where they would literally have these like the car showcase thing that they have, and certain few of them would have Jeremy Clarkson do his whole like Top Gear, like talking about the car spiel.
That's sick. Yeah. Yeah, Forza Horizon 4 took place because each one's like a different map, and the fourth one was Britain. So obviously they were like, all right, Top Gear the crap out of this. Yeah, and it was good. But I played through the fourth one and I liked it, but it was something about the fifth one. Maybe it's the location of Mexico because it's always so sunny.
It's so
and it's
beautiful.
like, yeah, it's beautiful. And then all of a sudden you hit like the ocean and you're like, what the like?
Or
it's
like
just
the storms, like the sandstorm, or like a deep, like heavy storm where it feels like you're legitimately driving in dangerous conditions.
Yeah, yeah. It's just such a fun game, and I'll always go back to it. And I mean, until Forza Horizon 6 comes out, which may, of course, blow this away, and then I'll be in that one. But let's just say if I ever canceled my Game Pass or it ran out, and I was like, I don't want this anymore, Forza Horizon, I would have to buy that game going forward for the rest of my life. I can't think of many other Xbox properties where it's like, oh, I'd have to buy that like day one. Like if you could still wait at midnight at like GameStop EB Games to pick up a game, this is the game I'd still be going and doing that. I guess this and Spider-Man, to be honest.
Yeah, like a game like Forza is just a good like time sinker. Like it's just something you can pop into, play for an hour, be happy with it, and be done.
Yeah, 100%. And the soundtrack is killer too, because it's like you got the different radio stations like GTA 5, and you can just kind of listen to what type of music you want to. So then now I go retro because apparently that's just who I am. Number 2 is Sonic 3 and Knuckles for me because I can and will always go back to Sonic, as you can see. Many Sonic things going on here in my background. Big Sonic fan, probably why I played through Sonic Frontiers, let's be honest. But Sonic 3 and Knuckles was actually good. Really, really, really good game. Honestly, the only game that comes close, and I think it just isn't here because of nostalgia, is Sonic Mania, which just recently come out. Because it's basically just a slightly better version of Sonic 3 and Knuckles. But I mean, just for the nostalgia purposes, the amount of times I've played it, even just like having those locked cartridges where you put them together in the Sega and turn the thing into like a freaking like Nakatomi Tower, like
it
from
blew
Die
my
Hard.
freaking mind as a kid being able to like plug in an old game into that thing and be like, wait, it's different now?
Yeah, like it was insane that they had just thought of that, where you could play the game by itself or lock the two games together and play together, and just blew my mind as a kid. But I was so into Sonic at the time. I'd picked up Sonic 3, like me and my parents went the day it came out to buy it, and then Sonic and Knuckles came out only like 8 or 9 months later. So I was right there getting it. To this day, I can still, like, I know Adam, you did a Let's Play of Sonic 3 and you were like, oh, I forgot how hard the final boss is. I can do that with like one hand. I have played this game so much that like no boss, no anything in these two games, difficult. You give me Sonic 1, I probably can't even get to the end. I'll die. I definitely am not getting all the Chaos Emeralds, same as Sonic 2, but Sonic 3, like by the second like set of levels, I'm maxed out. I can be Super Sonic, I can do whatever. Like I've got that. I've got it in my head. So I have played it again. I will play it again. I may even buy Sonic Origins, which is not apparently a good version, but I may eventually cave and just get it so I can play this yet again, because it's actually kind of hard now to get Sonic 3 on any of the Sega Genesis collections and all that that's coming out. Kind of sucks. So who knows?
We should at some point try to figure out how to stream us actually racing each other in Sonic 3 and just see how badly you probably kick my ass.
Oh, I would be terrible.
Yeah, I think we should do
it goes
this.
too fast for me. It goes too fast for me, and I just get lost, and I'm just hit walls. So no,
Chris was
I'm
like,
out.
yeah, we should do this. That's it. I can do that.
Yeah. Yeah, I was at my brother-in-law's house 2 years ago, maybe 3 years ago. We were all having drinks and everything. It was like, obviously my sister was there, you know, it's her husband. But there was a bunch of people there, family and friends, and we'd been drinking, and I was a little allergic to alcohol, we can say that. And somebody, I don't know who, put on Sonic on the TV, and they're like, here, Chris, go ahead and play. It was probably me. Let's be honest, I probably put on myself. I took over the TV. And I was playing through it, and people were like, what the heck? Because it's like, I know when to jump before it's like come onto the screen. So I'm just like hopping through a level, hitting everything I need to do, where it's like I bounce off of an enemy to then bounce off of like a shield power up, and then just ending up in a loop-de-loop, and I'm at the end of the level, and it's been like 17 seconds, and people are like, what just happened? And I will blow through that game like nobody's business. Like I just know where it is, and I'll go fast. I gotta go fast, you know?
See,
So,
I
yeah.
heard I heard Chris's story, and he said, I was drinking, and then someone turned on Sonic, and they said, what the heck, Chris? How do you know how to jump so fast? What I imagine actually happened is Chris turned on Sonic, and his mom was like, what the heck, Chris? This is a bridal shower. And he just started playing Sonic.
Oh my god, I actually wish
And
that's
Chris,
what
with
it
that
was.
self-awareness, is just like, look at me jump, Mom. Look at me jump.
Oh, that is oh, I'm gonna laugh about that later. I'm gonna be laying in bed. I'm gonna wake up from a dead sleep and laugh about that again, just because that was actually very funny. Yeah. So, and then my final one, my number one, is the game I have played the most ever in my life. I played so much of it when it was out originally. I didn't even own it for a while. I would go to my buddy's house, but I actually played at his house more of this game that I was technically borrowing than any game I've ever owned since, and that's Chrono Trigger on Super Nintendo. Using my friend's game, I got every character to level star, which is like a level 100. In order to do that, you have to play New Game Plus like 30 times. Because by the time you hit level 90, you have to play through the whole game once to gain one level, because it's only the final dungeon where you can level up and enemies don't respawn. So you had to actually go through, do the Black Omen again, you'll gain one level, and then the only way to level again is to do it again. I've replayed this game every time it releases on something. I buy it and play through it enough times that you get every ending, and there's like 17 or 12 endings or something in the game. I forget the number. But the only way to do it is you have to play through it once, get the normal ending, New Game Plus, keep your level, and then you can face the final boss at different stages. I'd go through and do it all again. The most recent time I did was on Steam. They released it on Steam. It was not a good port. It was a mobile port. They even forgot to change the fact it was a mobile port, as in when you went to input your name, it literally said, please use the touchscreen to input your name, and it didn't work on keyboard.
That's the attention to detail you gotta love.
Like, it was a broken mess. They've updated it so many times since, because there was so much backlash, that it's actually become the definitive way to play it. I did not wait. I found workarounds to input my name so I could continue and just play the game. And then replayed, got every ending. It's my favorite game of all time. It's the Final Fantasy people mixed with the Dragon Ball and Dragon Warrior artists, with the best music in any video game I've ever heard in my life. I listen to it all the time on Spotify. The amount of remix soundtracks I own if you were to open my iTunes, which I haven't used in 12 years, I don't know, whenever I started to try and use iTunes, the amount of orchestrated Chrono Trigger albums that I've purchased from people you've never heard of, I got like 9. Like, I just have them. And I still have it where I had it for a long time. Even the music at the beginning of the game where the main character wakes up to, there's this nice music and he's waking up. That was my alarm every morning. Like, I was waking up like the main freaking character in the game. I can talk about this game until I die. I can play it every month and I will love every time I play it. It's just like the perfect JRPG for me. 100%.
So that's 2 things we gotta do. We'll speed run Sonic together, and we'll also try the Jets of Time randomizer at some point.
If I was ever going to do a randomizer, this is the one I'd have to do, because I remember where everything is normally, so I'd at least have that. And then it would be jumbled on me and my mind would explode. But at least I'd have a 1% chance. But yeah, that's my list. And it was the hardest thing I've ever done in my life, because I was like, oh, Jedi Fallen Order. Damn it, that's like maybe number 7 to me now? I don't know. Then I was like, well, all the Final Fantasies. I'm like, God, I already got Chrono Trigger, and I can't just throw JRPGs on Super Nintendo in here.
I honestly could have just done all 5 JRPGs if I really wanted to.
I could have. I wanted a little bit of variety, and so there's definitely some notable ones in there, like Final Fantasy 4, 6, and then newer games like Jedi Fallen Order, probably Jedi Survivor when it comes out. I've replayed Fallen Order twice, and I'm ready to do a third one now that it was given
Don't do it.
Free.
Don't do it right before Survivor. You're gonna burn yourself out.
I don't know if maybe that's true. See, if it was Chrono Trigger, I wouldn't get burnt out, and that's why it's number 1.
See, like, there's games like I would have put on my list. I would have put like things like Witcher 3 and stuff. But the thing is, like, Witcher 3 is a fantastic and amazing game, but it's just like way too long that like I don't think I'm gonna get through a second playthrough. Like,
I've still never actually.
If something's gonna be a top 5 and it's something I'm only ever gonna play once, it's really gotta have some lasting value. And that's
in
why,
that
like,
case-
I put Trails of Cold Steel 4, but it's kind of unfair because it wasn't really just that game. It was the 3 before it, too.
Yeah. Yeah, true. If
Yeah.
it was only that one and you never played the other 3.
Because it'd be
But
like
it makes
me,
sense.
it'd be like me calling like Avengers Endgame like the best movie I've ever watched, but it technically has like 20 things before it that made it so good.
Yeah.
And if you just watch that, you're gonna be hella confused. Sorry, who's this guy? Captain who?
I mean, he's got a nice ass, but that's about it.
And he's just running AA meetings? No, people disappeared. Oh, okay. I don't know.
No, it's kind of cool. Like we got 3 lists and like so different in terms of like all of them. Like there was no crossover. Like I thought that was really neat. So
Yeah. But I do agree with both your lists. I don't know. Like it makes me question. Like when you mentioned Command and Conquer, I was like, red alert. Oh crap. Like there's just so many in there that it's like, oh, I got to throw those in. And then Adam, you took Final Fantasy VI, which is good because that would have been 100% thrown into mine somewhere.
I'm gonna now leave this podcast angry because I can't go play Rock Band.
You could go to my parents' house. They still have the PS3 and all the hookups.
That'll be the dream. I will one day own a house that I can have like a basement where I soundproof the fuck out of it, and it's a recording studio basement, but also have a set of Rock Band drums and shit there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So there's no
Nice.
cake. I thought there was going to be cake because it's our
No.
anniversary.
The cake is a lie, don't you know?
I mean, there could be
Yeah.
cake, but that's on you.
Well, that's true.
You know what? I'm sorry, Chris. I will send you a cake in the mail.
Yeah. Oh, that'll arrive.
I'm
perfect.
sorry, I was busy making money for charity. I couldn't bake a cake for this.
And not promoting the show, Chris. Come on.
Who?
Well, since you're not going to do it, I'm going to have to do it. So, ladies and gentlemen, thank you so much for joining us. If you like that and you want to hear more, I will do the promotion. You can find us on Linktree, linktr.ee/PixelPlay Podcast. If you want to find all of our shows, you can find us on YouTube by searching PixelPlay Podcast, or wherever you get your podcast, search PixelPlay Podcast. In our Linktree, we also have Discords, Twitter, Instagram. You can find us. We're there to chat anytime. If you want to be part of the show, feel free to send us questions. See, Adam, is it that hard to do that in a quick little stream while you're doing it? But you're too busy raising money for the charities.
Well, you were also too busy to not notice that you called me Chris before you started that whole spiel, so...
Makes sense. I was complaining about cake, though. I was
Don't
actually
start
being
with me.
useless.
Don't start with me, guys. Anyways, that's our show. Thank you so much, everybody. We will see you all next week. Bye for now.